Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Kageyama, and I'd like to welcome everyone here to be your own hero, no matter where you're watching from, anywhere in the world. Welcome, everyone. Please subscribe, like this video, and make a comment in it. I would really appreciate it. It really helps the channel to grow, and things are going great here. And I had to put a spring picture up in the background today because spring is here, and it's a great time of year, and I hope everyone out there is doing very, very well. I am so thrilled and so excited to have a wonderful person, and his name is Shawn Gibson. And what I'd like to do at this time is I'd like to bring him on, introduce himself, and tell us a little bit about who you are, Shawn. Shawn Gibson.
Hi, thanks, Mark. Yeah, my name is Shawn Gibson. I live in Austin, Texas. I'm a 58-year-old with stage 4 colorectal cancer. I've been in that fight for going on 4 years, and that's kind of where I'm at.
All right, all right. Let's get into where it all started and what you were doing. And we're talking about some things before the interview came on, and I'm also interested in hearing more about that. So why don't you talk about how it all started, cancer started with you?
Okay, yeah. So my wife and I were doing a life model of work, save, and then going on mission, spend, come back home, work, save. And we were in Senegal with mercy ships in 2019, repatriated Christmas Eve. And early 2020, I started having symptoms, but with the COVID lockdowns, not having an insurance plan in place, I had to wait until open enrollment at the end of the year. I did wind up going to get a colonoscopy, and I paid out of pocket to get that done. And then afterwards, we got the stage 4 colorectal cancer diagnosis. I went down to a holistic clinic in Scottsdale, Arizona. Spent 3 weeks there in house, heavy on nutrition and other types of therapies until I could get enrolled in an insurance program and get into the oncology clinic, where I first started with 36 rounds of EBRT radiation with Zolota as a adjuvant chemotherapy. And then I moved on to the FOLFOX regimen. I wound up having surgery with a permanent colostomy in February of 2022. And then I went into the FOLFIRI treatments, did 12 rounds of that. And I've been doing a fluorouracil every 2 weeks ever since then.
And that's a lot, absolutely a lot. We were talking about something before we got on, and I'd like to share a little bit. It's a little bit off what we're talking about, but I think it's really fascinating. You were in Senegal, and you had mentioned about some of the things that you're eating, and so if you could just talk about that real briefly, as to lighten it up and kind of set the table here.
Sure, yes, I was an adventurous sort. So I took the opportunities to get out of the missions environment and go into the public spaces. I made some friends, had dinner with them in their homes, went off into the Sahara Desert and volunteered at an optometry clinic in a hospital in the middle of nowhere. And they served me a meal there on the ground, on the floor of the hospital. It's a traditional meal where they serve a big silver platter with rice and vegetables in the middle and a meat dish in the center. And you get this imaginary pie shape of food in front of you. And then the man of the house divvies up the meat dish out of the middle, which typically would be fish or chicken, but you don't know sometimes.
You have any idea what that you don't know sometimes is?
Don't know sometimes. Could be some kind of fish, some kind of rodent. You don't know.
What was it all good?
It was all good, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Very
Okay.
spicy. They just add the spices till it's good.
Oh, that's great. That's great. That's part of the experiences that we all remember. And one of the things that I want to point out about Shawn is, even though he's gone through a lot, I mean, he is one who lives life, and I love that. Absolutely love that. So let's continue on with your cancer journey. And so what's going through your mind, when you got diagnosed? Uh, how did it affect you mentally and also your wife?
Yeah, certainly. My wife is a chaplain. So she's attuned. She was a chaplain in a medical center, so she can handle this kind of thing, but it's different when it's at home. Um, she's also a strong prayer warrior, and believes in supernatural healing. So she was all over that side of things. And so I was focusing on nutrition and treatment and trying to get physically better. And she was coming down on the emotional and spiritual side on my behalf, standing in that gap, so to speak. So I didn't have a lot of fear. I mean, there's the fear of dying, or the process of dying, of a long, slow, painful death kind of scares me. But spiritually, I feel we're a pretty solid household, and no worries there. But my
Right.
what was going through my mind was, what can I do to get better? What can I do at this point? Not only physically and emotionally, but I looked to the Bible and said, what does the Bible say I'm supposed to be doing? And you sum it up as, love God above all others, love your neighbors as yourself, help the orphans and widows, not allow yourself to be polluted by the world, and to go out and make disciples. And I'm like, I don't really know what that means. I've done some long-term overseas missions trips, and I was questioning what that meant.
Uh,
So I volunteer for a chat line where we take chats from troubled people from all over the world, and hear their story, talk to them, maybe possibly give them some resources if I can, share the gospel with them if appropriate, and tell them about Jesus, basically.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So you had a very positive outlook moving forward, which is very, very important. Let's talk about that. How important is having a positive attitude when you get cancer?
And well, it's everything. I'm also active in the Man Up to Cancer organization, and we see a lot of people who embrace the doom and gloom side of it,
Right.
and their outcomes are worse than those
Mhm.
who have an optimistic, joyful type attitude.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I think it's because, you listen to your body tells you things, especially like with nutrition. And if you're down in the dumps and you're looking for comfort food or being lazy and just don't want to deal with things, the hard things in life, you're gonna gravitate towards that. But if you want to survive and you want to thrive and do what you can while you're here, you'll start looking for ways to make that better.
Absolutely. I love that. Absolutely love that. So you were getting great support um, from your wife, and you were in the right frame of mind moving forward, and you still are, and that's a beautiful thing. So when you got your diagnosis, how did that happen? Talk about the diagnosis and how that happened.
So when we got back from Africa, we had missed open enrollment for the year, and I started having symptoms early in the year, and was getting concerned. I eventually wound up paying cash to get a colonoscopy done, and because of the COVID lockdowns, that took me 6 months to get that scheduled. So I was by no means an early detection, early treatment patient. I was 6 months into harsh symptoms before I even got screened, and then it was stage 4B, and then I was a good 3 months out of treatment from that point, other than the holistic naturopathic treatment I did. But to get into chemo, radiation, surgery type of the Western model, it was another 3 months. So I was a solid year of symptoms before I was really getting treated.
And were you experiencing a lot of pain?
Yeah, yeah, I was in a lot of pain. I couldn't sit upright. Driving was hard. Walking was hard.
Wow. Did you at any point did you need a caregiver?
No, I've never needed a caregiver. I've always been able to make it.
Oh, that's good.
Sometimes barely,
Barely as good though.
right?
Sometimes we need that barely no matter what. So
I mean, but
that's
I've always
great.
had but I've always had it. I've got a strong family of support. I've got my wife who's outstanding. she's also a certified health coach. So, nutrition's big in our household. And then I've had great care once I got into the system. I've got no complaints about all the care I've received.
So talk about nutrition. Uh, w- did your nutrition change once you got cancer? Did you guys alter anything?
Yeah, so certainly, as soon as I was diagnosed, we reached out to our prayer community within our church groups and our small groups, and somebody reached out to me who had had a similar diagnosis, and they brought in all the resources they had, and so that's when I started looking real hard at alternatives and uh, naturopathic type stuff and nutritional remedies, and I couldn't get into the Western model of medicine at the time anyway because of finances. So I jumped on the opportunity to go to Phoenix to go to a clinic there for 3 weeks and studied nutrition and lived it, as well as some other heat, light, ozone type therapies. Um, and pretty much went on like a Gerson style type of diet, lots of
Hmm.
juicing. And I continued to have worse symptoms and lose weight. And I got to the point where I just couldn't stand to lose any more weight. And that's when I went in for surgery. Um, I switched to basically an all protein type diet and started just walking and lifting a little bit of weights. But really, my body was telling me that I needed that protein. That's what I was listening to at that point. I couldn't stand another green smoothie, a cucumber salad. I just couldn't take it anymore. But I couldn't get enough of lean proteins and healthy fats. So I took that to heart and I just started consuming it. And I wound up gaining my weight back. So I'm at my optimal weight now. And now I'm at another transition where I don't feel like that model's going to keep me going. I need to go back somewhere in the middle there and balance my diet out. And then that's what I'm looking to do at the current time.
No, I understand. I mean, life as a cancer patient is just a lot of adjusting and changing and adapting. And one of the most important things I feel for a cancer patient is, and you have that absolutely, is to keep an open mind, um,
Yeah.
and be willing to try things because we're all different and our bodies are all different and we all take uh, to medications and diet and everything like that differently. So, I mean, I have people all the time, well, what did you go through? I said, I'll tell you what I went through, but that doesn't mean that's what's going to happen with you. I have people
Right.
every day, hey, what do you think of this? And uh, what are your thoughts about what he's going through and he's dealing with this, and nothing's ever the same. I mean, just
Right.
because I went through it a certain way doesn't mean you're going to go through it a same way or somebody else is going to go, because we're all physiologically different. We're all at different stages of health. And so it all a matter of where you're starting from. And to throw that in, we all have different cancers,
Yeah.
and at different stages. So everybody's situation is unique to them, and that's the thing that kind of irks me about traditional Western medicine is they just treat everything, one size fits all, and that's the frustrating thing about it. And unless you raise your hand and say, hey, I'm here and I'm a person, then you're just going to be part of the system and a number, and you're just
Yeah.
going to be, they want you to fall in line. And my,
Right.
my oncologist, I'll never forget. She must have been having a bad day or something like that, and I used to go in every time I had an oncology appointment. I'd take my notebook and a pen, and everything she'd say, I'd write down. Pretty much, all the main things. And she said to me one day, "Why do you keep doing that?" And I said, because I want to know exactly what you're going to be prescribing and what you're suggesting. And I want to know if it's going to be okay with me, what the side effects are.
Mhm.
And one day I caught her in a bad mood or something. And she just said, why don't you just do what I tell you to do? And I said, because I intend to live, and
That's right.
I want to make sure that what you're prescribing for me is going to be beneficial to me, and not just, something to uh, prolong life or whatever it may be. I
Mhm.
want to know, and I have to know. And I think that's part of the thing about cancer is we do not study cancer. And as a result, when we get cancer, all of a sudden, you know, we're in this life-threatening situation with no knowledge, right?
Mhm.
And so we're expected to make life-changing, life-altering decisions based on no knowledge. And in what world does that make sense?
And then the knowledge you do get is overwhelming all at once from all these different sources and all these opinions. You can't
Right,
separate opinion from fact.
right.
And like you said,
Absolutely.
everybody's unique.
Yes, everybody's very unique, and everybody reacts differently. And you know, there's allergies and
Yeah.
reactions, and so just be and I always tell this to everybody is who comes to me is just because it works for somebody doesn't mean it's going to work for you, because you're you and you're different, and so you have to find what's going to work for you. There are a lot of similarities to a lot of people, but we're all physiologically and mentally different. And so it's really important for people to advocate for themselves
Yes.
in their cancer journey, right?
That's right. I'd liken it to we talked earlier about the meal in Senegal, where you share the dish and you do, there's a preaching seminar going around out of Bethel and or no, Reading. It's called eat the meat and spit out the bones, right? So I learned this during that meal because we were sharing this meal on the floor of the hospital in the main doctor's office. These guys I was with that treated me to this meal were literally spitting the bones on the floor of the hospital.
No
You know,
kidding.
it
Wow.
was chicken.
Wow.
And so it's the same thing with you. You get all this inundated information. Is what can you use and what's worthless, and you just spit that out and you move on with what you can glean from that. And so I always try
Right.
to take every circumstances is what's going to work for me in that, or what can I try that's realistic without having to prescribe to the program, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Makes absolute sense. Um, so what have you done with your where are you at diet wise now? Uh,
And so, like
is
I said,
is
I'm in a transition stage. We are actually doing some research on where to go from here. Um, she had gone to like lots of lean proteins and healthy fats, and started realizing that okay, that's not longer working. I've gained my weight back, get my muscle back, so it's time to start thinking about getting back ahead of that canter like you had spoke about,
Mhm.
and what's that going to take? Um, so we've added sourdough. We're baking sourdough in our home, uh, as one thing that's it's kind of fun. But there's zero sugar using organic, uh, you know good flour like from Italy.
Mhm.
Um, and then have to look at really the vegetables and fruits aspect of it and how to balance that. Really looking at like where to start in the morning without spiking blood sugar levels first thing, that type of thing.
Very
Because yeah,
good.
I'm
Very
all
good.
about getting ahead of it, and versus this is what I want to eat. This is what I
Mhm.
like.
Yeah. I mean, it once you find something that works for you as far as diet goes, it's best to stick with it. I mean, my philosophy is I am a cancer patient for life, and I will do my diet till the day I die because I know it works, and I don't want the surprise, hey, your cancer came back. I am to the point where I am 1000% confident if by chance it comes back, I know exactly how to deal with it.
Yes.
I don't see that it's going to come back, but you never know. We're all human, and things happen, but at least now I know that I have the blueprint for me that works.
Yeah.
And so that's why, I don't believe now, even though, all my scans and all of my testing is clean, that doesn't mean it can't come back, because it's in my system, and it may be dormant again. Who knows? But I with my diet that I use, and I do have a diet video on my channel. If you look at it, I believe it's called My Personal Diet. You can take a look at that and see what I do. And if you have any questions about it, you can message me, uh, reach me on LinkedIn, or on YouTube, either way, or on Clubhouse. Uh,
Yeah.
let's talk about Clubhouse.
Okay.
That's how you and I met. It was through
Right.
our Clubhouse room, which is called Cancer Conquering Community. What are your thoughts on our group?
I'm really excited about it. I think I would have expected there to be more of that type of thing in the world. Um, Honestly, I was on my own for the first 2 years. I was on Twitter a little bit, and that was toxic, but it was fun. But it wasn't learning anything. And it wasn't until a friend of mine got me into the Man Up to Cancer group that I started seeing, oh, there's more stuff out here. And then I went back to Colin Town and started looking around there. But it's all, they each have their own thing that they do. Man Up to Cancer is an emotional support group. Okay. Colin Town's just a mixed bag of everything and anything. So something like the Conquering Cancer community on Clubhouse that you do is very specific, towards, what can you do to be a survivor and a thriver, and what are people really doing in a small group setting where, people know what they're talking about. There's not a lot of opinions other than testimonies, and a
Mhm.
testimony is worth, one word of testimony is worth 10,000 words of opinion.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, it's we hold it every Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, and it's called Cancer Conquering Community on the Clubhouse app. And everybody's free to join. It doesn't matter if you have cancer or not. You could be a caregiver, a friend of a cancer patient, a cancer survivor, all of the above. It doesn't matter. But what we're most interested in is getting out good information. We have a new speaker every week. In fact, we're booked with speakers now into June. And so that's what it's all about, is a group. I always say that we come into the room, it's a virtual room, as individuals, but once we get in the room together, we become part of a group that's really, really strong, really amazing. And
Yes.
I thank you for being a part of that as well.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. There's also a Facebook page now that
Yes.
the link to each week's will be there, and the reminders. So if you're on
Right.
Facebook and you jump on there, you'll know about it. You won't forget.
Yes. Yes. Shawn, I really, really enjoyed our talk. And so what I'd like to ask you now, I've got two questions for you. The first question is what would you like to leave as a final thought for our audience?
To keep going and to keep pursuing the truth for yourself, whether it's physical, emotional, or spiritual. Figure out where you're at, and go from there. And don't worry about whatever everybody else thinks and where they're at.
Beautiful, beautiful. And the second question I ask is not it's just a general broad question. And I like to hear everybody's answers, and I'm always really, really happy to hear these answers. Okay. And the question is this: how would Shawn make the world a better place
Hmm.
for everyone?
Well, there's what I could do and what I should do. Um, you know, so what I can do is tell my story, and I should do that. But it's not always easy when you're retired. So basically, it's just to encourage people to keep telling their story and to keep it going. There's a lot of turnover in these communities. A lot of people have good days, bad days, good months, bad months, good years, bad years. So to keep the discussions alive across all the channels and not let them peter out, because we need to learn. We're not born with infinite knowledge. We have to learn as we go, and we have to be taught a lot of things. And why learn something the hard way?
Well, learning is so knowledge is just so critical. I love to learn. I love to learn new things every day. In fact, I am so grateful for every single time in the morning I wake up and I open my eyes, and I've been blessed with a new day, and
Mhm.
that's just such an amazing thing. And the more we realize it, this world that we live in is so toxic and so divided that we have a choice. We have a choice to buy into this, or we have a choice to be positive about it and blaze our own trail, because that's what this world uh, is desperately starving for, is positivity, and people treating people with decency and respect, and respecting others' opinions, right? And that's so important, especially in this day and age. And I'd like to thank everyone once again for joining us here at To Be Your Own Hero. Please subscribe, like, make a comment in the comment section. Shawn, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your journey with us. And good luck to you. And we'll be talking every week. And once again, keep in mind that our clubhouse is on every Thursday, 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, called Cancer Conquering Community. If you are interested, reach out to us, and we will get you the information so that you can join us. But thank you once again, everyone, for watching this interview, joining us here at To Be Your Own Hero. Have a fantastic week, and we will see you next week at To Be Your Own Hero. Thank you very much.